Similarly, in view of San Nicolò in Carcere, Vasi draws our eye to the nearby Piazza Montanara. Of course, all of this has vanished except for the church itself. By placing the fountain in that Piazza Montanara in line with the connecting street. And here again, I show the street connecting this space to Piazza Montanara there, and an enlargement clearly shows the fountain, which would not have been visible from that point. The fountain is there. He was standing approximately here, but no matter how you maneuver it, I've tried various sidelines, you wouldn't see the fountain. Summarizing the piazze on Nolli, and parts of the streets visible in the 10 volumes by marking them on the Nolli map, reveals that Vasi's principal interest is the denser part of the city, except for the Via Papale section between the Forum and the Lateran. So all of these streets I tried to mark appear in the actual views, and they are on the denser part of the city, except for this axis, St. John and Lateran. This is altered somewhat when to the same map we add streets described by directional captions mentioned earlier. Watch closely, it doesn't look very different. In fact, maybe if I go back and forward, that'll make it clearer. The latter map, this map, shows the capillary nature of Vasi's work, as I like to refer to it, enabling us to get into this, not just the main streets, but the minor spaces and alleys. Vasi mentions Via Papale, which I've already mentioned by name, in 4 prints, and there are the 4 captions. This pathway, originating in medieval times, was the processional route linking the Vatican to the Lateran, and was followed by the popes, particularly for the Possesso, a procession that took place shortly after their crowning at St. Peter's. By taking possession of the Lateran, which was the seat of the Bishop of Rome, and still is, the Pope established himself as the secular ruler of the city. So this was a very important symbolic procession. 17 of Vasi's views can be used to illustrate most of the Via Papale. These can be grouped into 3 sections: Borgo to Banchi, Piazza Pasquino to the Campidoglio, and the Campidoglio to the Lateran, which I shall briefly illustrate. Procession starting here, moving along Borgo Nuovo. You can see on the Nolli, these are the points that these are taken from. Passing Santa Maria Trespontina, although we're looking back along Borgo Nuovo here. Crossing the bridge, entering Via dei Banchi, and moving in this direction. The next section, left Via dei Banchi, we moved behind Chiesa Nuova, Piazza di Pasquino, avoiding Piazza Navona, you notice, passing by Palazzo Massimo, which we'll talk about in the last minute. And this is looking back again, and looking back again in front of Sant'Andrea della Valle, but this time looking forward, and in this slide we've already seen, and going up the Campidoglio. And the third set, again using Nolli, coming down into the Forum, passing through the Forum, although we're looking back at the Arch of Septimius, looking forward here toward the Arch of Titus, passing around the Colosseum and up the 2, these we've seen already, the 2 prints leading to San Giovanni Laterano. Finally, Vasi was well aware of at least some of the numerous building-to-street relationships which are to be found so often in Rome. In the Palazzo Massimo print, the exact alignment of the edge of Palazzo Manfroni on the Via del Paradiso, and I did not fudge this, as I just simply took the base of the palazzo and ran a straight line, and it hits right there, the entrance to Palazzo Massimo. In this, otherwise, the alignment, the exact alignment of the edge of this palazzo with the front door of Palazzo Massimo, in this otherwise quite distorted view, cannot be accidental. Vasi was well aware that Peruzzi, the architect of Palazzo Massimo, had aligned the door of Palazzo Massimo on the axis of Via del Paradiso, as Nolli shows very clearly. That's Via del Paradiso, this is Palazzo Manfroni, there's the Palazzo Massimo, and the axis of Via del Paradiso was used by Peruzzi in a very complicated way to place the main door on that axis, even though the main door is not aligned with its courtyard and so on. A more subtle example of the street building alignment is to be found in the Ospedale di San Gallicano print, which we looked at last night with John. Here, Vasi suggests the presence of the street on which the hospital's church door was aligned by Ragazzini. There's the church door, and I don't think I'm reading into it. Everything, everywhere else is fairly shaded over here, but we see a burst of sunlight. There's a detail of it. So he's suggesting the presence of this street, without actually showing the street. He even partially obscures that shaft of light with a passing horse and cart. Thus, our technique of accurately comparing Nolli and Vasi frequently leads or yields numerous results of this sort. It also reveals the complementary nature of the work of Nolli and Vasi, and proves them to be both enlightened masters of the art of urban representation, if not analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Do we have any questions you'd like to ask Alan at this point? Yes.
John.
You asked a question, and it was about the exception of
yes.
the propaganda fide.
Propaganda fide. Yes, sorry.
And I don't know, I don't have an answer, but I have a suggestion.
Good.
And I wonder if this aberration could conceivably have come from Vasi's knowledge of, or possibly even reliance on, an earlier printed image, very much in the spirit that Mario was suggesting, that all of these printmakers were almost obsessively conscious of the work of their predecessors, but also their predecessors.
I don't know if everybody heard the question, or the comment, which I find very, very good. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
There's a wonderful instance of Leoben Croyle from the mid-17th century representing the propaganda fide in much the way that Vasi does.
This I did not know.
He even goes to the extent of chopping off, as it were, a building that literally blocks the view, and showing the walls only up to about a meter's height. It may just be derivative of that.
I don't know if everybody heard that. I'm sorry. It should have come up, actually. The point was made by John, I think a very good one, that exceptional view that I showed of the propaganda fide that was not in an urban context. And I invited suggestions, and John comes up with a very good one, which is that Vasi and others often refer to their predecessors' work and simply reproduced it in some form, and suggests that I should look, and I blush, I have not seen it, a view of the same building by Jurgen Krul, the mid 17th century Dutch map maker and printmaker, which might well explain it. In other words, if he simply copied an existing drawing which did not have urban context, then that would explain that exception. Thank you, John.